fix.
Alright, we're live, Pak Anin. You want to?
Okay.
Okay. Assalamualaikum. A very good morning, everybody. Assalamualaikum, Pak Anin. How are you today?
Waalaikumsalam.
Yeah.
M3.
Okay.
How are you today?
Yes, M3. Thank you, everyone, for finding time and joining today's Center for University Industry Collaboration Virtually Connected series. My name is Associate Professor Dr. Marissa Malek. My friends call me M3. And I am the Director of Center for University Industry Collaboration, CUIC UUM. Our topic today is Agile Leadership, Fronting the Crisis with the Next Normal. And the future speaker, we are very lucky to have one of Indonesia's finest, Mr. Anindya Bakrie. Pak Anin ya, can I call you Pak Anin?
Boleh, terima kasih, thank you.
Boleh. Okay, before we start, ladies and gentlemen, let me explain how you can communicate with us during the session. If you have any questions, just write them in the comment section of our Facebook live post. We will have our connectors ready to pick up questions. We will read some of your questions live during the session, and we will have a Q&A session at the end to address more questions. Right? So I'm looking at Pak Anin's profile. It's very, when I look at the profile, it gives me, oh my God, we are so lucky to have him on board. So I'll just read some of it. I'm sure, many of you have already Googled him up or went to his IG. I did, I was like scrolling through all the pictures. Great pictures, by the way. Our featured speaker for today is the CEO and President Director of PT Bakrie Brothers. He is an Indonesian business magnate, investor and philanthropist. He graduated from Northwestern University with a Bachelor's of Science in Industrial Engineering and earned his MBA from Stanford. Guys, Stanford. So I'm talking to a real business people. All right. Currently, he is enrolled in the People's Bank of China School of Finance, EMBA, at Beijing Tsinghua University with a focus on China's One Belt, One Road initiative. So he has a very long list of accomplishments, and I'm not going to read them all. You guys can Google. So let's go straight to, asking Pak Anin's questions. Okay, Pak Anin, are we ready?
Yes.
Pak. Saya Pak yang Stanford.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, now this is going to be very informal. Just imagine that you are just talking to me. Pedulikan yang tepi-tepi, Pak, distracting semuanya. So, we heard of how individuals get inspired by a certain cause that is close to your heart. What excites you right now, Pak? Apart from you having this one-to-one conversation with me.
I think what's exciting is that in this so-called new normal, you can combine work and family life closer together, yes. Right? And I think that's actually very good and very positive until you have this kind of pandemic. I guess you would never know, right? Because you would not try as much because nobody's doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So combining between work and family is, I think, a new lifestyle that's actually quite healthy.
Yeah.
Right? And I think there will be a lot of efficiencies all over the place that will result from here. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And in the world that is actually more digital, more connected, being close to people as opposed to just be in the office will also be an advantage, because whatever services or goods that you produce, it will be closer to what people want. So you are actually one step closer to human than actually just running a corporation or an institution. So that's actually quite exciting, you
Yeah,
know.
that's good to know. That's good to know because before we went live just now, you talk about having your son had
Yeah,
some exercise with you this morning. So I can see that you're a family man. I'm sure that you have a very busy schedule. So what you're saying that in any adversity, there's always a blessing in disguise, and this allows you to have more time with your family and to really connect with people.
yeah, that's
Am I
right.
right? All right.
Yes.
Good. Good. That's good to know. Throughout your journey about managing Bakrie Brothers,
Yeah.
leading to this point in time, can you please share with us what is one of your defining moments? I'm sure that you have a lot of defining moments.
Mm, mm,
And what is your pick one that is really, the most defining one for you?
mm. So I think from the beginning of my career, right after the business school, I think the way the family trained me and a lot of people in my generation will be to throw one into serious challenges. So the swim or sink kind of environment.
Yes, yes.
I'm very sure that the previous generation, think about the capabilities of each one individual being thrown into the situation and make sure that the risk is not too high, right? But back even in 1997, the first internship job that I had was trying to restructure about 1.2 billion US dollars of debt.
1.2 million. All right.
Yeah. Let's not take a look about the amount, but let's take a look about the impact that it has into
And
our
where
family.
where did you do your internship in? Where
It's
was that?
actually that's right after I finished Northwestern University. So
Northwest
I did it actually
Chicago, Chicago, right?
first in Salomon Brothers, but then I went back home because the crisis was very bad in 1997,
Yes, yes, I remember that.
right? So I had to go back and try to help the family business. So from then on, I see that look, whatever we do, business will always come in a cycle. So always be prepared for bad times, right?
Mhm.
You can hope for the best, but at the same time, during bad time, like what we discussed, there are always opportunities to bounce forward. I call it,
Yes, yeah.
right? So that's one in 1997, and
1997.
then in 2001, right after the business school, the same thing pretty much happened.
Yeah.
I look at many opportunities in and outside the group, and the one that excited me back then was actually a bankrupt TV station called ANTV, right? So
ANTV means that Anindya TV, right?
I wish I like to say that, especially now, but it was invented before I started, so I cannot say that for a fact.
Yeah.
Uh, but you
But
can say that it sounds pretty cool.
maybe you would like to change it to M3 TV after this, maybe after me?
M3 TV, we can talk about it. Maybe
Yeah, it
for
sounds nice. You don't
franchising
have
in
to pay
Malaysia,
anything. You don't
in
have to
North
pay
Malaysia.
anything.
Yeah.
Please continue, Pa.
Yeah. So 2001, when I came back from the business school, I, took this challenge, took over this company, went to bankruptcy court, and got all of that alive, and built the company one brick at a time. 10 years or so later, we listed this company. And now it is one of the most successful TV stations in Indonesia, and now is embarking on the digital era. Right? So as you can see, I enjoy having challenges in front of me because the downside is somewhat limited, right? Because if it is already rock bottom, so to speak, is always
There's nothing
upside.
to go up, right?
Yes. So the same thing over and over again. Like now, for example, you ask in 2020, global recession. This is another thing, like in 97, 2001, 2008. And somehow, when it comes to the group and also myself, you become much more alert during a recession, right?
Yeah.
You have to survive. You have to be positive and think about what's right for you, for the business, for the family post this recession. Because the recession, when you look at history, the fact that we're still here, will be over at one point in time. There will be another recession, and you have to be prepared for it as much as you can. But still, you have to remain as much as you can calm and deal with the problems hands on. But don't forget, as soon as you get out of this so-called hole from COVID-19, you got to know exactly where you want to run and which mountains you want to hike, that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. It's good that you touch about, having to get your hands dirty, you enjoy the challenge. And I like that you have a very positive outlook of things. And I know that, compared to Malaysia, Indonesia, COVID is on the rise, where we are on the decline. So I'm sure that, all of you there are really having quite a tough time. And I know our prayers goes to all of you. I mean, we are neighbors. Yeah, and we hope that then anybody that has been impacted by COVID, our prayers and thoughts are with you. And I like the fact that, things will always go in cycle. So whenever that you're up, you need to remember that there will be times that you're going to be down again. So you cannot be so complacent, right, Pa?
That's right. Yes.
Okay, all right. So we'll go to the next one. We're going to touch more on your leadership. So my question would be, agility is a key aspect for industry leaders and forerunners to set the next normal for their organizations and respective industry. How did you recalibrate and re-strategize your multi-stakeholder collaborations to convince them to adapt and carry on with the next normal?
Hmm. I think one, you have to have very good communication skills, right? And you have to also have good listening skills, right? You have to communicate what you have in mind, but you have to listen also and observe how the situation is. And quite early in March, we have declared basically in the group that this is, quite serious, right? For Indonesia, for Jakarta, for the group, right? So we had a good open communication saying that, hey, what do we know? What do we don't know, right? What don't we know, basically, right? So, and then we try to get the best brains in the room to figure out one step at a time, how do we handle this thing? Because at the end of the day, this is a health crisis, right? I've never seen one before. So I reach out to a lot of the stakeholders I know that know better than us about this type of issue. So the first thing is communication. Right? The second thing is ability to convey messages to your stakeholders that things are probably going to get harder. Right? So you have to explain the reasonings, but you have to take some drastic measures sometimes, right? To be much more efficient, because the only thing we can control is the cost structure, right? We call it the revenues will be inshallah in this kind of thing, but the cost structure is up to you to handle. But also you need to make sure that in your communication or in your dealing, we touch upon this again, we remain optimistic and reasonably cautious at the same time. But think about, okay, what would be the next opportunities or business models that we may want to embark on, knowing that after all of this pandemic, things will be different. And overall, don't forget also, you need to be open-minded and learn from others as well. Yeah. And the beauty about this kind of thing is that you have time on your side to think, right? But at the same time, you also have to know that you can be much more impactful to others, not necessarily within your ecosystem. Right? So anything that you can do to help others with whatever you have, it's not necessarily financial resources, but your thought process, your inputs, ideas will be useful. Therefore, a lot of things like this is good because it's not only physical and financial pressure that you get in this type of thing, but mental pressure is quite important. And also I want to underline, we talk about agility, but basically faster adaptability is quite important, right? And yeah, we talk about innovations as well. So a lot of things you can experiment when it comes to something like this, and I think that's one flip of the coin. On the other hand, it is very much a sad time, a difficult time, very difficult time. But on the other hand, if you are lucky enough to be healthy, you can actually try new things and try to help others, and your impact will be felt greater than it would in a normal time.
All right. I like the fact that, the first thing that you mentioned in adversity and as being an agile leader is for you to really communicate. Because people, I'm sure that a lot of your employees are looking up to you for solutions, and they want to know, they want you to reassure them that things are going to be okay. But at the same time, we need to address the situation, right? You can't be in denial all the time. And I like the fact that you said, during adversity, there's always a blessing in disguise, and all of us can actually reach out and help. And this crisis, I think, brings out the best in humanity. You don't have to actually help with money, but you can actually give moral support. You just need to be there for people. And I like that you say you have to be optimistic, but at the same time, you have to be cautious. So it's a balance of things, ya Pak.
Yes. Yeah.
Wait, Bapak ni mukanya serius sangat lah Pak.
Huh?
Serius Pak, senyum lah Pak. I think a lot of, younger followers kan, dia, when I tell them kan, we managed to get Pak Anin online, they were, gantangnya Bu.
Terima kasih.
Betul tak I sebut tu Pak? Cakep, betul tak Pak?
Ya, betul. How do you say it in Malay?
Macam handsome.
Oh, terima kasih.
Saya pun cakap, saya tu sebenarnya saya cakap Pak.
Kalau cantik in Indonesian, you say cantik also, right, in Malay?
Cantik kalau macam normal macam yang muda-muda macam saya, dia akan cakap cun.
Oh, okay. Cun
macam cantik lah cun. Kalau kata M3 cun, macam tu.
Okay, M3 cun.
Bagus lah Pak ni. Pak, I'm going to take one question from the audience, ya Pak.
Okay.
This is coming from Mr. Ilham. Dia tanya, how do you keep your company cash flow still positive despite having this pandemic?
Well, the only question I can give is really difficult because some businesses really have almost no revenues. I mean, you can imagine if everybody has to stay home and you have a hotel business, people naturally will not go there. Or you have transportation business, people are not allowed to travel, you're not going to have revenues. So similar strategy. One, you have to control cost, but a lot of times you have already touched the bare minimum of the cost, and then it comes to people. Right? That's the hard part, right? Because this is, livelihood of the people as well, right? This is where the leadership is being tested. You have to have good understanding of the situation. You have to convey it, and you have to come up with a solution that is as fair as you can come up with, right? But coming back to the question, maintaining positive cash flow will only be possible if you manage your cost, and therefore you have to adapt the lifestyle, right? And maybe you have to also learn in this era of technology to use technology to save costs, right? And sometimes you can use technology not only save costs but improve the quality and also happiness uh, of the employees' morale. So there are many things that you can do, but I think it is never easy. And don't forget, you should also talk to your financial partners, like investors, creditors, vendors, to make sure they know what you are up to, the challenges that you have, and you still have the good intention to honor whatever obligations you have. But it is just a very difficult time. So you have to convey it.
Yeah. Have Bakrie and brothers started to do salary reduction or lay off
We
work?
have in different verticals. We have different sort of like treatments, right?
Yeah,
In
yeah.
companies that do very well, we don't do anything. In the
Mhm.
companies that actually start new projects, we are hiring. But there are also companies that they cannot not talk about salary reduction,
Mm.
furlough,
Hello, yeah,
and
yeah.
we have not yet get into the we call it termination of employment, right?
That's good to know.
So
That's good to know.
yeah, so far we are able to maintain it, right? And that's the objective indeed.
Mhm.
But we at least have plans to communicate with them, and whatever it is, if we have to do it, we got to make sure that they have a chance to come back to the workforce, whether with us or somebody else when the economy picks up again.
Yes.
But you have to also be upfront to say that things may not come back to normal so soon.
Yeah.
So you just have to deal with it. And again, it's very tough because again, don't want to repeat myself too much, but it comes to people's livelihood, and they have family. When they come back to their houses, they have to communicate if things are hard at work in a very difficult health situation overall.
Yeah, I'm sure it's never easy to give that kind of news to your employees, right?
Yeah,
And I think you mentioned many times about communication. So I think with the right kind of communication and to keep everybody updated on what's going on, what are the future strategies for Bakrie and Brothers, I think that will actually create a more no a clear pathway of where the group is heading. And I'm sure that your employees really appreciates for you to actually tell them what's going on and address the situation, because I
I
think
hope so.
yeah, yeah, I know so, Cik. I know so, macam lah tahu kan. Uh, tapi because I feel that sometimes leaders just want to hide things from employees. I mean, employees should know the truth, and people are so with the with everything can be shared online. People
Yeah,
actually know what's going on, and people are more aware of things. And I'm sure that people know that the pandemic hits everybody. Nobody is spared. So it's just a matter of trying to stay afloat. Just now you mentioned about sink or swim, right? So try to stay afloat and try to and then work towards having a better solution for the for the whole population. And when we are talking about it, that means you're talking about the whole of your businesses. So there
that's
must
right.
be
Yes,
some businesses are doing so well and some are not. So it's a more having a balanced take on things. Betul.
yes.
Bapak ni macam serius je. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll go to the next question, yeah. So we are going to talk something that is very close to your heart. Because I know that you mentioned about the NTV, about Viva, yeah. As the
Yeah.
CEO of Viva Group, Viva ke Viva Pak? Viva, yeah.
Viva, viva.
Viva, okay. As the CEO of Viva Group, what are your thoughts on the role of media in mitigating social anxiety, yet maintaining responsible and ethical reporting during the COVID-19 pandemic?
Yeah. So I think disseminating correct information, accurate, is one very important thing when it comes to something like this, right? People hear so many information from different sources. A lot of times they don't know which one is right or wrong, right? So being a mainstream media, especially we have also TV1, which is the #1 news channel in the country. It is, our responsibility to make sure that we really filter the information and package it in a way that's easy to understand, but also, factual.
Yeah.
The second thing also, again, you don't want to hide anything from the audience. You have to, show what's really the situation, but at the same time, to kind of like, help them to see clearer things going forward, or updating them about how they can live their life, to the fullest in this crazy time and difficult time is also important. So meaning to bring optimism into the audience is one thing that you can do, right? And the third one, you actually have to also give inputs to the government, right? Constructive inputs, because at the end of the day, they're also learning as they're doing it, right? But we have to give inputs in a way that you are helping the government as opposed to just trying to make, critics as a sensation, right? Because they're doing their very best also. So, the TV stations, two of them we have, is going to basically all the houses in Indonesia. It is free to air using antenna. I mean, you can use it cable or satellite too. So yeah, that's almost like a social duty. This is one of the businesses that may not be, in terms of revenues, the biggest in the group, but the social impact is probably the biggest.
So you mentioned about factual reporting, you mentioned about being accurate and telling the truth because we don't want to create unnecessary panic. And then I also
Yes.
like the fact that you said, as a responsible company, you also give back to the community. And I read in your website that, you have this pillar called Bakrie untuk Negeri, something like that, Bakrie
Yes.
benefit people. And I like that, companies know that they have the duty to actually give back to the community. And I've seen a lot of news whereby Bakri is up front and center helping the Indonesian government to help manage or helping to ease the problems in managing the pandemic, which I think is should be lauded, because sometimes when you talk about companies, especially like a conglomerate like Bakri and Brothers, it means that you guys are doing so well, but at the same time you also give back, and then that is something that is very noble of a company of that stature. So congratulations. And any
Thank you.
plans to work with any Malaysian companies in the future?
Well, we actually have a partner from Malaysia in many places. One thing comes to mind is certainly our power project. Is a big power project. We partner to not only build but also operate, and electricity is very important, especially when you have this industrialization going on in the country.
Yeah.
But coming back to giving, I think earning and giving always comes hand in hand, right? So at least your earning becomes more meaningful when you can impact directly the life of many people, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And even giving has also its own innovation, just the way you give, the way you raise money, and there are many ways you can impact lives, right? You can focus on education, health, many other things, right? So we actually have different endowments or foundation for different things, right? And we let it happen the way it is. Different companies want to do different things, and their corporate social responsibility will start with community development, and that helps. That's good. You want to start from your area, right? And also some activities they try to balance what they do to make money. For example, we have a coal mining business. It's a very good business, but at the same time, you want to balance yourself to make sure that the replantations of the coal mining or extraction is good, and then you also focus on the animals' life. To make sure that you kind of like balance what you do. You have to do what you have to do. It's a part of energy that you need, but there is a lot more things that you can do by being responsible in that field alone. Or a lot of times also we focus on, we call it giving the bait as much as we give the fishes, right? We want to teach a lot of people how to do business. Like in our plantations, we have good cooperation between us and small medium farmers, right? Because at the end of the day, the first generation, almarhum Ahmad Bakrie, he was also studying a very low base, right?
Is that your grandfather?
Grandfather, yes.
Kakek, right? Kakek?
Kakek, betul.
See, I know Indonesian language. I know.
Yeah, kakek. So yeah, so that's also close to our heart.
That's good. And I like just to recap what you have mentioned just now. You talk about you need to earn to give, right? Because if you don't have money, that means you can't help people.
Yep.
And it's not just about just giving. It needs to be about teaching. It's like teaching somebody how to fish rather than giving the fish, because that will be more sustainable. And you talk about at the same time, when you have development, you're going to ensure that you will still preserve the environment. That's very
That's
important.
right. Yep.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one part is, how do you see Bakrie and Brothers changing in the next 5 years, and how do you see yourself creating that change?
Yeah. So what I would love to see Bakrie Brothers in the next 5 years, it becomes one of the leading industrialist group in the country, right? But not just being an industrialist, but industrialists that adopt the latest and greatest technology and business model to face the new world, right? And a lot of people in the beginning always associate new business model and technology to consumer businesses, consumer services, like what we know, like e-commerce, and then payment gateway and what have you, right? But I think as much innovations can be done in, I would say, basic industries. In fact, I think you will see more and more because we actually have to do that, right? So Bakrie Brothers in the next 5 years should be the leader in that. So, for example, if in the past 30 years we built a nice iron casting business for auto parts business, in the future we're actually not only importing but assembling and making parts of electric buses components, right? Because we believe in the future of electric buses. Or like what we just launched 2-3 weeks ago, our group embarked on a big project to convert coal to gas to methanol. So this can be used for biodiesel, but it can be used for other basic ingredients for many things in life, for plastic, for making dashboards in cars, or making tables. But the whole idea is how to do more with less, right? And that's basically the essence of industrialization. And now it is entirely possible. In the past, you have to think about the big idea. You gotta do all the research in the world to get there. But now you can even do beta testing, right? And that's okay. And that's one of the things that I would love to do, how to bring industrialization closer to the people, right? And also for some of you who are hardcore engineers, right? I want to make sure that they also can pursue good career, because still I think I come from telco media technology background. I like that field. That's what I focus in the first 20 years. But people still need bridges. People still need power plant. But they want smart manufacturing, they want smart mining, right? And those type of things is what we want to be known for in the next 5 years. But also build a good business and sustainable business, right? All these things that people talk about, environmental friendly, social impact, and then governance is also one of our measurements, on top of just profitability per se, which is already hard enough. But corporations is just a bunch of people who also have responsibilities to where they live, to the country, and so on.
I think when you mention about what are the future plans for Bakrie and Brothers, I think it is very comforting to all these young future graduates, where now people are so worried about whether they're going to be employed, and when you actually make it clear on the next direction of Bakrie and Brothers, I think it gives some kind of comfort that for the younger generation, that they can be part of that development, the ones that you're going to do at Bakrie Brothers. And I think a lot of our younger generations who are listening in, they must be smiling right now, that as if to say that, Pak Anin says that it's okay. We will do a lot of things so that we will actually give back to the younger.
In fact, I would say 3M. Other than all these new businesses, mushrooming, digital businesses, and that's great. I think anybody who wants to start a company and have the passion and guts to do it, they should try to do it. If not, join somebody else's companies. So those are good. But I want to just assure the people who are going to graduate that all the conglomerates or basic industries, traditional companies, they too have to innovate, right? And they too need to recruit a lot of good people. But it will be probably different type of people that they need in the past, but they still need people to do the job. And in this era of gig economy, sharing economy, people can be private contractors, and that's good enough. For example, let me just give you an example. In trying to figure out how to narrate the complex Bakrie group into an elevator pitch or 3 pages of just written statement. I say, hey, look, why don't I reach out to my alma mater and see whether we have 2 or 3 business school students who want to take on this project, right? We have some contractual agreement. It's not much, but they can also be seen as one, defining the way we're going to storytell about the group, right? So they find it exciting, right? And then you have another group of people who are helping us to review our digital assets, right? Meaning the internet website, social media, and so on, and give inputs. And sometimes when you have private contractors, you'll be probably yes, yeah.
Before you, I need to stop you right there, because I think the next question is referring to, but I need to read this out because this girl has been texting me, and then she wants to really say something to you. Can I just read it out, Pak? Do you mind?
Yes, please.
But don't laugh, because my Indonesian is not that good. So what she's saying is, this is from Anissa Mutia. Selamat pagi Pak Anin. Terima kasih sudah mau meluangkan waktu untuk memberikan talk pada hari ini. Wah, Pak Anin ni ternyata aslinya sangat karismatik dan ganteng sekali ya. Kalau kata anak muda Indonesia, cakep banget. Betul ke?
Alhamdulillah.
Jadi soalannya kan Pak, nah Pak Anin, saya udah baca nih sedikit banyak tentang company Pak Anin. Dari media, televisyen, pendidikan juga. Nah, kalau saya boleh tahu, kriteria seperti apa yang dicari untuk merekrut para pekerja, Pak Nin? You can continue from what you were saying just now.
No, we can make it casual and fluid.
Yes, please. I'm glad that she is asking about how you recruit workers, not something else. because
Yeah.
she started with ganteng and cakep banget, and then okay, now go straight.
So I think first, you have to have certain level of aptitude, of course, right? That's why academic, background is very important, and more important in that is your thirst to learning, right? Because if you come to the real life, whatever you have learned will be a good basic for something else, but things change very fast. So the ability to constantly learn, be open-minded, uh, listen, and try new things is very important. The second thing also, I think you cannot substitute hard work, right? Even you are, Michael Jordan playing for Chicago Bulls, he would still come in 2 hours early to practice, right?
Yeah. So you can't be
Uh,
complacent no matter how good you are.
yeah, you gotta definitely put in the hours, right? But I also look at how one works well with others, right? And I think that's very important because again we spoke about how we want to build good ecosystem platform of togetherness to reach a certain goal, whether that's social or commercial. So working together is also important. And lastly, I think the ability to uh, understand, adopt new things, whether that's business model, new technology, is important, right? And that's including reading what is needed in the market, right? And being able to analyze that data quite successfully. And I don't believe that there is one discipline that can handle everything. All the more learning, ability to work with others, have an ability to try new things becomes much more important these days.
All right. So you mentioned about future candidates to have good aptitude, thirst for learning, and thirst to improve yourself. Always have to
Yeah,
have that kind of drive. You talk about being in a team spirit, teamwork, and also to really understand the environment, what's going on around you, and I
right.
think with technology and with everything available online, even free courses, I think the younger generation can actually benefit from
Yes.
having all these things right at their fingertips and to actually
Yeah,
improve themselves to be more attractive and to be hired for the company.
that's right.
Okay, we have another two questions, Pak Nick.
Yep.
One is from Kylene. She asks, as a leading corporate figure with high influence to the economy in Indonesia, how does the Bakrie Group gives back to the community and assist in building the nation? I think you have covered this just now, but maybe you would like to add on whatever that you have said.
And it's never look, giving is easy, but giving as long as you have the means, right? But giving with the largest impact possible, like return on social investment, so to speak, is the hardest thing, and you have to keep learning from others, right? So we always have this debate between the giving from corporations and the giving from the family, right? And also giving from others, which we distribute, right? It's always something that you can just, make it separate. You have Bakrie untuk negeri for corporate social responsibility primarily. You have Bakrie Center Foundation, that's for family giving to help others to go to higher learning, or Bakri Amanah, that's focusing in helping people to collect money for sedekah, for zakat, and so on. So there is no right or wrong. You can do all those three, but the key will be how to make sure that you have the highest social impact in anywhere you do, right?
All right. So
Because there's a lot of easy way to do it, which is just to give monetary instrument just like that, right? But when you put your heart and mind to it, the same money will always go the distance.
So saying about how to ensure that you be able to best stretch that $1, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's as much as innovation,
Mhm.
as business innovation, right? You have limited resources. No
Yes,
matter how much you give, it's still limited. You have more
yes,
people that need it, right? And also, it's a good way to push the boundaries so that others can also learn from you, right? And never forget that you're going to learn as much in the process,
yeah.
also, right? To see what's effective. And if there's any way you can make the people that you assist or work with be able to also help others, that's where scalability becomes, come into the picture. Yeah.
Yes. All right. We have one question from Charin.
Yeah.
Moving towards smart manufacturing, Indonesia needs to develop further in infrastructure. What are your hopes with regards to infrastructure development in Indonesia?
Yeah. Actually, I think first of all, Indonesia is a big country, 17,000 islands, 34 province, from Aceh to Papua, can be 8 hours flight. Which in Europe you can go from UK to maybe in the Middle East somewhere, right? So it's never easy, but we actually are proud that we built a good network of telecommunication or information infrastructure, right? It costs a lot of money. The government has to be right and center,
Mhm.
but the key also how to work with private sector. I call it to build the fish bones. Imagine there's a backbone, there's a fish bone, right? So therefore, the government has to have policy to make sure that private sectors can come in, and on top of it, you need to incentivize a lot of startups to build services, digital services, on top of all of this infrastructure, right? So we're happy to see a lot of unicorns either come from Indonesia or big in Indonesia, like your Gojek, Tokopedia, Traveloka, or even Grab being bigger in Indonesia than anywhere else, and many other things, right? So those things are important infrastructure, but don't forget the hard infrastructure is great, is good, needed, but the soft infrastructure is also much more important. In fact, if you look at the top 5 companies in the world, they are basically building soft infrastructure, and with that, it's actually faster, better, cheaper to do it. But it has a lot of creativity in it. You need to have speed. You need to have hunger. You need to have better understanding than any other people about the audience or potential consumers. Right?
It's good that you mentioned, the top 5 companies. These are companies that, that comes in and then they're very agile. They don't have to be very big, but they are very agile. And the way that they treat employees is that, you can be anywhere in the world and yet you can still contribute. And that is
That's
what
right.
the next normal is all about. And
Yep.
I like that, you mentioned just now about companies, private sectors, and the government should be working together in unison to actually fine tune on whatever whatever strengths that you have to ensure
Yeah.
that you'll be a more robust structural platform in order for it to be um, so that everybody can actually contribute to
Yeah.
by doing what they know best. So it's
Yep.
like everybody should be working together.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's the fun part too, right? You can
Yes.
learn from each other,
Yeah.
and you interact and become better as a whole.
Yes, everything is about having to find a good fit. Like
Yep.
you're putting in a jigsaw and then finding the best piece to put in, and then everybody has their own strength. So you just need to
Yes.
know what they are. Okay, I'm afraid that's just about the time that we have. But before we
Yep.
call it a day, Pak Anin, let's spice things up. This is what I'm going to test you. Test you. This is what I call as my rapid fire questions. So you just need to say whatever that comes to your mind. Jangan overthink tau Pak Nin. Dia macam relax.
Okay.
Pak Nin, okay,
Okay.
breathe Pak
All
Nin.
right.
Okay, are you ready?
Yes.
You don't seem that you're ready. Are you scared of me? Am I that
No,
intimidating? I rasa kan lepas ni Pak Nin. Okay, let's start ya. Avengers or X-Men?
Avengers.
Okay. Favorite movie of all time?
Godfather.
Godfather, you're a gangster now. I saw because you had this was it a screenplay, original screenplay?
Yeah.
Yes, I know. I have a very
I've done the research.
I was scrolling through your face IG. Okay, 3 people that you would invite for dinner, dead or alive. Just imagine. I would be one of them, right? So I'll be the 4th person. So another 3.
Well, maybe they have Thomas Alva Edison, and then it would be nice. And then maybe I'll find a nice, actress. Maybe we can call it, Angelina Jolie will be nice.
Pak, this is stream live, Pak, and then your wife might be watching.
No.
Okay,
well, she can come and join too, right? But is invited.
I will be there as well. And one more, Pak.
Yeah, one more. Maybe we can have a nice musician. We can have Bono come in.
You too. Bono.
Yeah, from you too. Why not, right?
Yeah. That's a good, a good combination. And when you invite me, I'll be the life of the party.
All right.
That invite. I'll give you my contact details to Ibu Shirley. The next one, if you have a superpower, what would it be and why?
Well, I like, everybody says Iron Man, but I like Hulk a little bit more because, because it's much more human, right? You have your fear, you have your anger, but, you can also be helpful, right? And you can change in size.
Yeah.
So that's, and green is a good color too, right?
Green is a good color. Mine is yellow today.
That's right.
I'm always a Captain America.
Captain America.
Yes. So, okay, we'll see in the
Classic
next
guy.
world who will win. Okay, I'm sure that you have met a lot of interesting people along the way, from your days in the US and so on and so forth. What's the best piece of advice that you have received?
I think you have to live and learn. Try to enjoy yourself as much as you can. When things go bad, always believe it's not going to be like that forever. And when things go well, likewise. And I think one nice thing about life is, again, you can live and learn, and sharing is another way to feel like you're alive, right? And just enjoy, take one step at a time.
Do you remember who gave you that piece of advice?
Live and learn. It's many people from different places, right?
But it is a good advice. It is a very, very positive. 3 words that best describe you. So Anindya is
hopefully sporty.
Sporty.
Hopefully fun to be with. Although some people think I'm too much, hardworking or demanding. And hopefully, nice person.
That's good. If you ask me the same thing, I would say that Pak Anin is visionary. Pak Anin is very shy. And Pak Anin is cakep banget. Betul?
Oh, Alhamdulillah. Terima kasih.
Papa ni Alhamdulillah. You heard this all the time. My staff here are giggling and smiling because they say that, I've been saying the same thing on this one. I just want to liven things up. Okay. This is going to be interesting. No, no overthinking. Okay. This will be my last question.
Okay.
Donald Trump is.
I think he's an entertaining president indeed, right? Fun to watch. Not necessarily agree with all his views, but sometimes you have that kind of leader,
Yes. Yes.
very hard-headed, and believes so much in himself, right? But yeah, socially he can be very hard to digest.
It's hard to digest. You're very. I think we share the same sentiment. You will have those people around, which is good. That gives
Yep.
color. That gives color. Otherwise, we don't have anything to talk about. So I would just like to recap. So some of the key takeaways is that always look at the positive side. There's always in adversity. There's always something good that comes out of it. You mentioned about having to not be complacent. There's always room for improvement. And you mentioned about some of the criteria, some of the things that Bakrie and Brothers did in helping to build the nation. And you also mentioned about the kind of criteria that future graduates should have. And you have a strong passion for improving oneself and also to ensure that then when you don't just give, you need to make sure that you stretches the dollar.
That's right.
All right. Is there anything else, Pak Anin, that you would like to add that I haven't asked or just to
No,
end this
all
session?
good. Um, Enjoy time in school. Learn as much as possible from, of course, your professors, your peers, but also find a way to build good network, for life, right?
So
Because
having
they
the
are,
right kind of circle of friends, network is
yeah,
going to be good.
that's right. And then do a lot of internships or small gigs. That's another way to practice what you have learned. And don't forget to also learn from other things, like whether you call it YouTube, masterclass, or whatever. Even when you're in school, so you can at least discuss it. Right?
Yeah. So
Check the data.
learning just doesn't happen only in classroom. So you can learn
Yes.
from those around you and whatever that is available online. Okay, that's good to know because coming from I am an somebody that comes from the education background. It is nice that you always have this good words, motivating words for the students, and I'm sure that they are looking up and then say, I'm sure that after this my FB followers will increase because I managed to get Pak Anin. Okay, so thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you everybody for joining. So that's all the time that we have now. On behalf of Center for University Industry Collaboration and University of Utara Malaysia, I would express our gratitude to our speaker, Papa Anin, for a very inspiring and lively session today. Thank you so much, Pak
Thank
Anin.
you very much. Thank you.
I hope that
Thank you, Marlin, Marissa, Malek, M3. Thank you very
okay.
much.
Yeah. The session today would not be a reality without the presence of all our wonderful viewers. Thank you very much, guys. And the
Thank
hard
you.
work of our colleagues from UUM Corporate Com, UMIT, JPP, UTLC, the library, CUIC, School of International Studies, and also Prof. Ayub and the team from PT Bakrie Brothers. Thank you, Ibu Shali, for helping to hook us up. And a gracious note goes to Bakrie University, Ibu Sofia, Pak Dudi, and to all our partners university in Indonesia, colleagues, panjang sangat ya Pak kan, tak apalah.
No, it's okay.
Colleagues, alumni, and students in Indonesia who helped to promote this webinar and tuning in today for us. Most importantly, I would like to thank our Vice Chancellor, Professor Dato Dr. Bashawi Abdul Ghani, for his unrelenting support to make this session a reality. So, Dato VC, this is for you. Make sure that you give me high marks for this and for the CUIC team. Until next time, we thank you everybody for being with us today. Don't forget to follow our CUIC Facebook page and join us again for our next QRC Virtually Connected series as we bring the industry closer to you. Socially distanced, virtually connected. This is M3 signing off.